go, wow, I feel immortal. I can do anything.
Yeah.
And then extrapolate to he'll go in 1v5 and probably die.
Yeah, on Bard.
And then later in the game, he'll make a sick engage. Mog's Bard, why not?
Yep.
You know, it checks out.
You may as well. Well, here we are into Pick and Ban for game number 1. Rumble already taken away from Dudu. And there is the Kalista ban up against Deft. We've seen that certain anthropods have been left up and available. You guys were having... There was a discussion on Cast yesterday about what kind of animal Skarner was, or scorpions are.
Yeah.
And it really bothered me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're an expert because you're from...
I mean, arthropods are really cool.
Yeah.
You know, like wearing the skeleton on the outside and stuff like that. They're like super dope creatures, and I think that they deserve a little bit more recognition. Probably should have got it on the broadcast yesterday, but that's okay. We will not drop the ball like that anymore in the future. As Ziggs going to be taken away here from Leaper or Bulldog. Of course, Bulldog a bit of a Ziggs connoisseur, and there it is. There is the Skarner ban. Not having to deal with it. Banned out on blue side as well, so Casting not wanting to play it.
Yeah, I wonder if we're going to see... Nidalee was really high prioritized yesterday. It's been prioritized in the LPL as well, so will they opt to ban this away on 3? Varus is still open and available as well. They will ban the Nidalee. Do they pick up the Varus? Another combo we saw have great success yesterday was the Celia Vi combo.
But we didn't see this let through, right? I think we saw Senna banned in every single game, so that'll go over to Deft here, and we'll see what CV Max has cooking.
Yep, this
as
was
far as the response.
Ban rate, very popular in the LPL, but wasn't left open once. Nautilus is banned though, so can't pair it up with that, but obviously Tom's still available. Quantum Freak's toying with the idea of picking up this Ashe. Ashe doing pretty well after the 80 carry itemization changes, and obviously can be flexed to the support role as well, but not really seeing it as much as we used to.
Yeah, it's been a little bit more in the hands of the 80 carries. It was Viper that was playing it yesterday, if memory serves. And let's see what they're going to pair with it. Unless Cuz is going to take a priority jungler here. There are, you know, a few things still up and available, although with the Nidalee banned away, sort of the cream of the crop, not quite there. And Bulldog, back to an old favorite perhaps, as the Tristana is being considered. So, at a premium, AP junglers. So, brand coming to mind. You know, we saw Sylvia, I believe, playing that one yesterday. A little bit of fun. And Pioshik is just on the board. Unless, never mind. This could, there's a couple of junglers to be locked in, a couple of supports, theoretically, to be locked in.
Yeah, there's still options, Joe. We saw, obviously, Carrier playing the Sejuani with the Senna last season, so there's potential for that, keeping it open as a flex. And I feel like having the Sejuani is a little bit dangerous, because particularly, you know, we just saw the Lilia hover. Junglers, AP junglers can really just run away with the momentum, and then essentially it's just a target you can unload your abilities on. This looks like they'll just go for the Maokai, though. We did see the Maokai, like the damage of a time build with First Strike.
Yeah.
With the, I believe it was a Leandries and then into more tanks, so the opportunity to do that does make me think maybe they'll opt to go for a bit more AP in the top lane to sort of round out the composition. But regardless, go in the ban phase. I feel like, you know, you're probably thinking the Sejuani is jungle, but you're not for sure. They decided to ban away the Vi because they're not certain themselves. I wonder if you would want to take away the Tahm Kench to really force that Sejuani into the bot lane, you know, remove the options that pair with the Senna.
Yeah, a few different choices here. I do like the fact that KT have kind of left things open, with the fact that even Jax could be flexed around if they would like to. Casting not necessarily blinding that, as the Corki going to be taken away. And the Amelia going to be followed up by Watt here, as KT look to thin out the support pool just a little bit.
Yeah, you know, you could even throw a ban towards the Cassante at this point.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it.
Especially with Dudu being on the other side, obviously really solid on that pick. Going for the Poppy instead, though, we'll ban that one away. And I feel like if you're Quantum Freaks, you know that Jax is almost certainly going top.
Yeah.
Maybe you just take top lane here, you take the Cassante for Dudu, and then save counter pick for support so you know where the Sejuani is going. You could even put the Maokai in the support role if you're Quantum Freaks if you really want. So giving yourself the most options possible. Now, there is a world where KT flex the Jax, the jungle, and the Sejuani support. They could, in theory, do that and try and get a better matchup, but you're into Cassante. I'm not sure how much of an edge you're going to get. So I expect we'll probably just see Jax top, Sejuani jungle. Looks like they're going to go for that Tahm Kench that was left open. very good against the Ashe Arrow, obviously, being able to eat someone who does get stunned in that situation.
Yeah, it does kind of mean that anyone can soak that arrow and be kind of okay, although very long cooldown. Still some consideration and will be eventually locked in. So Sinner Kench, not something that we are, strangers of at all. If you're watching MSI or LCK or a lot of other places. Talia, definitely a big one for BDD, but he also loves Aurelion Sol. So a few different choices here. In fact, all of his most notable champions are available.
Yeah, I think I'd probably prefer the Talia just because it's effective into the Xante, very good at shutting him down with all his dashes, very good in the Trist.
Whoa!
They opt the Aurelion Sol, so this is pretty heavily committing to scaling for the side of KT. They have a strong top jungle with the Jack Sejuani, and they really want to lean into power in that top jungle and then have scaling elements on the boss side of the map. But on the other side, there's Seraphine locked in for Andal. So
that's an interesting one.
A pick that did get changed, because there's been a lot with Seraphine between, okay, we want it to be a support, now we want it to be a mid laner, back and forth. Most recent changes have put it into that support camp. And actually, we saw someone, I believe it was on the Korean ladder, get very high rated going first strike with the extra gold generation. And just getting free money, being able to get support items on the back of that. And obviously, first strike is nerfed on live, but still pretty strong on this patch. We'll see if that strategy comes out, and it's just a free way to kind of match the scaling of KT, who have an Aurelion Sol on the center. Obviously, Seraphine's not quite that strong, but at least it gives you, with double AD carries, a lot of power in the later stages of the game.
It does also synergize pretty well with the Ashe as well, given your beat drop. You don't need your Rylai's completed in order to get things to be worked out. So I do like it when champions do have synergy with one another. So we'll just have to see how this bottom lane is going to fare up against Deft and Beryl, two world champions who have certainly had a bit more experience than Andal and Leaper, as Leaper makes his debut. But BDD back on an old favorite, of course. This is a champion that Bulldog was very, very big on last season, but we didn't really see BDD play very much of it. And BDD back in the day, before the Aurelion Sol was changed, he was a big fan. See how he's been doing on the new and improved version. Let's jump onto the Rift for game number 1. I always really like it, Orcs, because I feel like the very first game, the very first KT game, KT fans have all of this exuberance to them. You know, there's so much wonder, so much optimism before the fan chants, of mid-season.
Yeah, the despair.
Yeah.
You can see that undertone of hope.
Yeah. It's the undertone of so it's not even necessarily despair. It's just distraught or mania.
It's like, wouldn't it be great if we win our first game and then like halfway through it's like, please, we'll take anything.
Just kill a ward, please. Or something like that.
It is going to be the first strike for Andal. So the first strike did get reworked, and it, well, not fully reworked, but changed. So before, a lot of it sort of spiked in the mid game, where you're dealing more damage and you're sort of getting the payoff with the gold. But now the flat amount of gold is 15. Even a support like Seraphine who doesn't do much damage, as long as you're proccing it off cooldown, you'll end up with a ton of free money. And on a support who has low income and very cheap enchanter items that they'd love to get, it ends up being a lot of value. So, Leaper and Andal would just be looking to harass and keep proccing as much as possible and just getting free money. And Andal didn't proc it.
No.
And, yeah, probably wanted to do that.
He got a little bit licked, but that's okay. Is going to be able to just throw a Q down and get a fair bit of decent poke damage down. But of course, Senator Kench not going to be too worried about too much here, as casting and Dudu a little bit of thwacking back and forth, but otherwise not too much to worry about. His mid lane as well, probably BDD aiming to farm as much as he can and just doesn't want to die to Bulldog, who's now going to put a ward down and spot Pyoshik here on his Raptors. So good information going to be picked up, but that favor has been returned already.
I love how I hyped this matchup up, and I was like, carry jungle meta, playing Nidalee, Pyoshik, because it's going to be so Sejuani Maokai.
Yeah.
That's my fault for having hope and believing.
Well, I mean, that's exactly on theme for what we were discussing just previously. So it's kind of beautiful that you've represented exactly how a lot of people are going to be feeling heading into this game. I think it's going to be fine. Of course, Cuz has had some pretty good performances on the Maokai in the past, and we know that Pyoshik, it's not about the champion he's playing, it's about the things he decides to do.
Yep.
And we'll see what he decides to do in this game, as Dudu has found casting in the turret. He's going to help him out here winning this trade. Nice Q going to connect there as well as the Dusante doing what it says on the tin, as he is definitely a very, very good Dusante player. Casting is offering back a fair bit though, and does have a decent amount of control of the lane.
Yeah, and you've always got to be a little bit cautious, just especially with the Sejuani in the jungle. Any trade that Dudu takes, like getting one on the tower, lowering the health of casting, it's just kind of discouraging the threat of a potential dive coming in, which is important because that wave was starting to stack up, and just preventing that from being a possibility, definitely something that Quantum Freaks want to do, because I feel like that is the lane I would be looking at if I was KT, to try and apply that pressure towards that top side. As you said, BDD is just going to be farming and trying to just not die in this mid lane.
Yep, Cuz going to wander towards his Raptors that are not now respawning. And it looks like BDD going for a little bit of a reset. So this is very slow. Yesterday we had some games that kind of went off the rails very early on. This is a little bit too on the rails. I think that we may have upped the safety measures a little too high for this ride, you know? There needs to be an element of danger to make the roller coasters exciting. And there's not very much danger in this one.
It feels like it was just a competition. It's like, oh, we're going to pick Tristana, we want to scale. Oh, you want to scale. We'll pick Aurelion Sol, and it's just, you know...
And Senna, and Jax.
Yeah, and then Quantum Freak's like, okay, well, we'll take Seraphine, and it's just, now here we are.
Yeah. So how was your off-season?
It was okay. You know, I got really ill, which wasn't so great.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, together. That was, we went to Mao's wedding. That was a fun, well, other than the getting ill, but Mao's wedding was really fun.
And the whole time in Indonesia was great. It wasn't until we got home that we were both dead. It was not great. There was apparently a certain flu that we could get that Mao told us about afterwards that we may have contracted.
Yeah, but we survived.
We did. I even managed to make it to MSI. I was deathly ill. Worked out in the end as Deft and Beryl, I think they faked a little bit of a back there, but it looks like Quantum Freaks still just looking to go home, even though their wave state may not necessarily be exactly what they want.
Yeah, they'll have the advantage on the reset at least, but not sure if they'll be able to get too much benefit from it. Maybe Cuz could start Dragon if he wants, because he knows his bot lane is going to be there first. But other than that, not really much to take away from the situation. It's a Chemtech first, which means it's not a Chemtech Soul, but also even decent amount of healing and shielding with the Seraphine and the Maokai, to be honest. So
yeah, I think if you're in this game, you're actually not too upset.
You know what? I'm going to say something. I'm going to say something crazy, right?
All right.
Tenacity got reduced across the board, right?
Oh,
they removed Legend Tenacity.
True.
So the value of Chemtech Dragons has gone up.
Maybe it's going to go the way of the Cloud, where people are just going to realize that it's amazing.
No, that's not happening. Marginally better. Marginally less worthless.
Okay.
But to be fair, the Dragons themselves, there is situations where they definitely have more value. And this could well be one of them. A lot of CC that can be reduced by that Tenacity. And we do see on the top side, KT are just going to pick up those Void Grubs, and the trade-off to the bot side is Cuz picking up that Dragon. So just cross-mapping. We do see Death went for the move up on the Senna, trying to assist, but I don't think they can pressure Beryl too much bot lane, but I'm also not sure they're going to get too much on the top side with Death being there.
Well, we've got a little bit of a flyby here by BDD, as Death slinking in on the mist and is otherwise not going to find too much. So no action just yet. We saw Pyoshik waiting in the wings to see whether Bulldog was going to put anything on cooldown, but he does not. Beryl here is basically a brick wall underneath this turret. They still might get this plate, and Quantum Freaks will be able to collect that. A bit of value there. That is going to put them in the lead in gold as Deft making a visit towards the top side as well. Piercing Darkness onto Dudu. And Cuz clearing out some of this jungle that is going to be spotted immediately, as Beryl does see exactly what's going on. Let's see whether Dudu can survive this one, though, as Deft picks up the turret aggro. Not going to be able to tank it for too much longer, and almost dies, in fact. He is so incredibly tanky, but there is first blood going over to casting, and the juggling works out.
Yeah, really well done there by KT. That was a hard dive to pull off. I think Dudu played it about as well as he could. But the fact that Def took the aggro first, the juggling was done very well. They end up getting a kill. They are going to lose out in this situation with Quantum Freaks getting more... Well, actually, looks like it's going to be even plates overall, but the kill advantage for KT is going to be the edge that they wanted from this situation. Beryl backing off in time to avoid this situation.
Yep, and also getting your Jax, the items that he wants, and things like that, very, very important for playing out the later stages of the game, which is exactly where KT kind of want to thrive.
I am a little bit concerned, though, about the gold lead it's going to be showing off the bot lane, because obviously, I mean, it's a center, so Leap is going to have a big lead, but Andal is just printing money at the moment. So I think when the observers show us the goal difference, it's going to be probably advantage to both members of Quantum Freaks in the bot lane. I could see Andal having more money than Beryl right now, especially since Beryl only has 46 CS.
Yeah, he has been under a fair bit of pressure, as we saw just previously. Doing okay when it comes to the experience, because he was able to at least stand underneath the turret, but just isn't able to farm out too much. Farming Cinder now in hand, and as the arrow going to fly on over. That is going to connect onto Deft, who does immediately cleanse it. Bulldog was in rocket jump range.
It's now a 4-minute cooldown, so
yeah,
even bigger.
Oh, that's a big deal. Gonna have to sidestep the next one if he wants to survive.
Or have Beryl eat him.
Yes.
That works too.
A few different options. As Andal is now with his other 80 carry. And right now, Beryl is actually ahead in gold. Kind of crazy. That was at 8 minutes 20. So pretty impressive, really. Beryl's able to keep up with it.
I mean, you say pretty impressive. He is farming, you know.
That's true. Yeah. That is a good point.
To nearly be overtaken by someone who's not farming.
I actually read it as compared to Leaper and was very confused.
Oh,
and that is not the case.
No, I think out of everyone in the bot lane, I'm pretty confident Leaper has the most gold, no doubt.
Yeah. I run Burgundy, I'm not going to lie. Came up on the screen and I was like, well, it must be true.
Yeah.
All right, and I misread it.
Oh.
Everything was correct. Okay, there's Glacial Prison. Beautiful buffer there from Bulldog to get himself out of the way. That is quick on the trigger finger.
Oh, yeah, so we're getting the gold now. You know, not as much of a lead between the 80 carries as I'd expect. 700 is still pretty significant. And you can see that's kind of matched by the top lane lead for Jax, but obviously Senna gets a soul value. But yeah, I mean, I think this is the purpose of going the Seraphine with First Strike in a situation into the Senna Tom is you now just have the Seraphine who, even though she's not farming, she's nearly got as much gold as the Tom who is. And if they have the same gold late game, I would much rather have the Seraphine on my team than the Tom Kench.
Yeah, and it's also the comparison of the Ashe that has a lot more money and the Senna that does, of course, you know, scale to infinity in theory and all that sort of stuff, but does have a lot of utility as the game goes on. Will do a fair bit of damage as well. So
that's the thing, is both the Senna and the Aurelion Soul do scale to infinity, but games don't go to infinity.
Yeah.
There will come a point where you have to contribute. I think one of the things we've often seen with Sennas is teams don't start to transition to giving them a bit more farm soon enough, and they end up like really starved in XP and in terms of items. Not quite like late game, they'll just, everyone gets full build, right? But there's a certain point at like the 25-30 minute mark where they can feel really weak. Because has just got his first item completed. It looks like they want to try and contest.
Yeah, he's just wandering over. You can see Beryl on a control ward. BDD now walks across a ward himself, and there is an arrow connecting. BDD going to head straight into the Nature's Grasp. Is now casting, looking for a wraparound, but the rest of KT, they're leaving the situation. The Encore goes completely wide, though, and now Cuz is looking for the opportunity. That is a beautiful gobble, though, as Beryl is going to be able to save his jungler, and now casting, trying to get in amongst it, then gets out of it. And we've got another singularity coming in. Beryl is going to be avoided, and now Cuz is burning down. Finally, someone dies. The health bars are so extraordinarily low, and finally, Bulldog, he will go down. Cuz out of life as well, but now the Dusante is marching his way forward. Deft, going to be very difficult to get out of this one, and there is the flash forward, and Quantum Freaks will win the fight.
What a scrappy fight, and with a quiet early game, we're rewarded with this hectic back and forth between the teams. So many little micro plays coming out from this. And Andal is super patient with the ult. They open up with a CC onto Beryl. The counter engage and BDD is just trying to stop the fight from happening. And it's really unfortunate Andal goes to the ult. The flash from Death means he doesn't get as many as they want, but this gobble.
Yeah.
It's like, where'd he go? You
know?
Inside the Tom Kench. And I think the big takeaway for me here is the amount of value this Seraphine is getting right now. The AoE shields, the AoE healing, the constant passive procs. Over a long fight like this, with all 5 members come together, the Seraphine is really thriving. And Dudu as well, his ultimate does run out, but that low HP center is no match for him.
And BDD just wishes it was an extra 25 minutes into the game because he really was just kind of breathing on them and not a whole lot was happening.
Yeah.
I think he may have just had a mint as well. They were like, oh, fresh.
Yeah,
and it
get
just,
the bad breath on them.
No, there wasn't really too much that they were worried about. And so KT maybe fighting at a time where they weren't quite strong enough. Only, 1.5k, the advantage here for Quandong Freaks, but still a great start. They'll grab themselves their second Drake as well. Infernal Soul this game on top of it. And there is another ulti, but it's another beautiful buffer here from Bulldog. Beautifully played. Casting going to be able to grab a turret. And okay, Pyosha could be in trouble. There is the Nature's Grasp just to try and get him out of there, but he will be all right. And it does have Aftershock, and all of those buttons were thrown into it.
Yeah, layering the CC wasn't flawless there. A little bit of overlap from Quandong Freaks. But one thing I will notice is they know the value of the Seraphine ult. Like, they'll throw the Ash ult, they'll throw the Maokai ult, but Andal is, like, holding on to the Seraphine ult until he sees a window for it. Because, I feel like Seraphine, obviously, as a champion, the shielding, the AoE healing is valuable, but, like, so much of your power budget is in that ultimate. You don't just want to burn it for nothing.
Exactly. And, of course, fighting in these corridors is going to be very, very, very powerful as well. So we'll see whether they can find some of these lineups as KT are moving towards, say, a Baron Pit, like we saw just previously. Kiddy wanted to get to that item number 2 as quickly as possible. And is going back now. 5 plates on the top side of the map, 5 plates on the bottom side of the map here for Quandong Freaks, but they have a smattering of extras.
Bulldog's going to be. He's 40 CS ahead of BDD, and he got 437 off that plate gold. So this Tristana is going to be a problem, and something we've seen a lot. I feel like Tristana in spring and last year, we never, even though she obviously scales up with her range and she does become a long-range AD carry, I feel like in a lot of games we never really saw her be that much of a threat in the late game, but I feel like with the AD carry item changes, we've already seen it be an absolute menace in the games yesterday, so Bulldog is in a prime position to carry.
And this is one of his all-time favorite champions as well. This is, when he was debuting, this was the one that we were like, oh, it's Bulldog on the Tristana. This was when Tristana was really starting to become a mainstay in the LCK, so good to see, back on a favorite of his, certainly performing exceptionally well. Is now up against both BDD and Pyosik. Pyosik trying to tank that explosive charge, not exactly too happy about it, despite the fact that he does have his Warmogs already completed. A large amount of health for the Sejuani here.
And it just means if you take that poke, not really much of an issue. But you can see Quandong Freaks setting up, and part of the thing of having a Maokai and having an Ashe as well is the saplings to control brushes and the hawk shots to get vision as well means controlling space is a lot easier. Controlling vision, denying it as well. So Quandong Freaks have tried to establish some control here. Pyosik is moving up. I still don't think your comp is really in a spot where you're firmly online, but they might try and contest this. Seems risky to me.
It certainly does. Well, they're still going to look for it, as there's a Glacial Prison. That was beautifully landed. Couldn't buffer that one. That is going to be at least the Herald secured here by the Quandong Freaks as the Shadow dawns over Kuz. And Dudu even able to pick up the eye. That was very sneaky from the Cassante.
Yep, slick move there. Dudu just flies in, grabs it. And the thing is, even though it was like a 1v3, it's Cassante. He could easily just turn it into a 1v1 again. So they don't chase him. And Bulldog has had a really good game, buffering Mo CC constantly. But Pyosik throws the ult out of the Fog of War. And as a result, Bulldog just wasn't ready. You could see the vision being toggled. Did not see it coming, didn't have time to buffer. The CC is layered and doesn't get to play the game.
Yeah, Kuz able to flash his way out of it as well. And you can see KT not in position to follow up. Good arrow just for the disengage. So KT only getting one off the back of it and even miss out on the Rift Herald that can be used to try and get themselves a little bit more control over this river, maybe get towards a Soul Point as well. Quandong Freaks really upping the tempo in this game.
Against an Aurelion Sol, he's one of the best stallers just because you can throw your E down, your Singularity, and just block off a minion wave. Getting mid-tier 1 down is super important. They've already done a lot of damage familiar in the game. Bulldog got some plates and managed to really thin out that tier 1, but securing it is a different story, and if Quandong Freaks can use the Herald to take that mid-tier 1, maybe secure the 3rd Dragon, that puts a ton of pressure on KT and really just denies them the ability to stall out the game and look to scale up further.
And that is precisely what they want to do. That's why we're kind of looking at this scoreboard thinking that 1.5k, not quite enough for Quandong Freaks to feel completely comfortable about the situation. But if they do manage to lock down this next Drake, that could really start to put a lot of this pressure on as Casting able to dive onto Bulldog, but he's able to jump away himself. Both of them pretty nimble when it comes to that. So isn't going to be in too much trouble at all. Leaper and Andal making their way into the river now, as this Dragon is going to be up in about 20 seconds time. Yeah. So KT in position.
And this is a big one because Baron hasn't spawned yet. So if KT deny the Dragon but maybe lose like a jungler, it's completely fine. You know, Baron is not up for Quandong Freaks to take. You don't have to worry about that. So ideally, you want to deny this, and then maybe the next Dragon, that's where it might be more difficult. So you can see KT very heavily posturing to set up for this one. They want to do anything in the hands to deny the stacking from Quandong Freaks so they can do their own stacking.
Yeah, and it theoretically buys them 10 minutes, right? If they are going to get towards a soul, if they're able to deny this particular Dragon. And even stalling it out is going to be benefiting KT because they're the ones with time on their side. So see how it does go. Shelly pops down into the mid lane here as Dudu going to get into Shelly here. That's a little dangerous, but it is going to be able to take down the turret, and he obviously is a very tanky boy. Able to get out, even though the snare is pretty good there from Deft.
Yeah, it did force everyone from KT towards mid lane to try and defend.
All right. Another meat drop going to come down there, and Pyoshik pretty happy to tank it as Dudu is extraordinarily tanky. Tongue Lash connects, and there is an instant cleanse from Leaper to get him out of the way. The arrow is going to come through. A barrel can't cleanse that one, but still the lick is coming through. He's going to be denied there as it's a great ultimate from BDD, but now Dudu's in amongst it. There's the kidnap on him. Pyoshik, not exactly optimal, but now Bulldog's looking for the resets, but BDD gets into the fog of war. It doesn't matter. Dudu is just too big. He's able to take down Barrel, and now Casting just trying to find something back, but he is dead as well, and KT are crumbling. And Quandong Freaks will get that soul point they were looking for.
Big Dragon in pocket and a couple of kills on top of that. Summoner's Burn across the board. 4 flashes down from KT. This is all Quandong Freaks wanted and more from this fight. You can see Quandong Freaks are able to retreat here, and they're looking to posture on Leaper. The cleanse comes through, and this interrupt ends up being so clutch. Barrel wanted to kill the AD carry. The root from Cuz comes through. He's tanky enough to survive the counter engage, and here Dudu, I think maybe would have wanted to go for BDD there. You can see Bulldog tries to chase him down, but regardless of maybe a couple of misplays in the fight, it's won for them convincingly after that initial engage.
The buster shot from Bulldog at the very beginning of the fight as well to make sure that Casting couldn't actually be in there while the rest of the team were dealing with the Quandong Freaks. Absolutely fantastically played as well. So Quandong Freaks, even on a micro level, just performing really, really well in these 5v5s. Still, KT not, of course, completely out of it, but it is getting worse and worse as this game goes on, and that Dragon count is starting to really get worrying for KT.
And here's the thing, now that Baron's up, if KT heavily commit towards Dragon, which they have to because it's Soul, Quandong Freaks can definitely just move towards Baron, play in the Fog of War, you're walking through saplings, potentially into an Ash Shower or a Seraphine ult. This is where it gets even more difficult, and considering they lost the last fight, this next one's not going to be easier, and KT are really in a dangerous position. They need time, and it is running out.
Yeah, Bulldog does have his fidget spinner, as Degon put it yesterday, completed as well. Also a casual crit cloak now put together, and level 13, so drawing plenty of beads.
Yeah, that range really coming online. Probably going for the Infinity Edge third, you'd think, and at that point we'll really start to hit. But yeah, both AD carries, 2 items and a bit, and this is again like a bit of a rough spot because Deft is level 9 to Leaper's level 12, has 1 item, Blood Song doesn't scale very well, Senna's base attack damage.
Oh, this is aggressive. Not going to be able to take anything for it, but I do like the Cuz is sending a message saying that he's very happy to press the ultimate button.
They are really willing to throw that Maokai ultimate out, and I feel like, kind of like before, it's only Bulldog. No, he's okay. It's only being the Seraphine ult where they're like, we'll hold that, and the other ults are just fishing with them, you know?
Yeah. It is pretty non-committal, and of course you can just wait for that one to be back up and again. Plenty of ability haste that Cuz is going to be putting together as well. Let's have his Leandries and then a bunch of health.
Yeah. Get as tanky as possible after this point, doing enough damage. And the thing is, there's no real armor on the side of KT apart from the frozen half a barrel.
Yeah, I feel like Pyoshik will eventually buy some armor. Sure. He does have at least a cloth.
I feel like it's one of these things where, you know, when people talk about damage profile, it's definitely relevant, but by the time it's relevant in this game, BDD and Deft will have come online, and that's going to be the bigger factor. So, yeah, if it goes very late, Quandong Freaks might have some issues, but that was going to happen anyway. Right now, they're firmly in control. They're trying to sweep out this vision around Baron. 2 minutes until that next Dragon. And every decision at this point is going to be really tricky for KT. You see VDD approaching his top tower just to try and defend it, but he needs the backup from his team because they're always concerned about the engaged potential when Quantum Freaks have control.
Yeah, and he's just falling further and further behind. 60 CS now is the lead for Bulldog, who's just been lapping up wave after wave. Dudu with a slight lead as well over his opposite number. The bottom lane is, of course, as far as farm is concerned, in favor of the Quantum Freaks. So KT bleeding as this game goes on. You're going to have to really find a fight in their favor where one of these big BDD ultimates is going to connect, where finally we see some of these stacks starting to actually get to a threshold that does some damage from both BDD and Deft. Or casting in a side lane could be another option.
Yeah, it could be a threat that they look to rely on, but I think regardless, they're going to have to group up for this next dragon. That's going to be the issue. Wow.
You were talking about carry junglers, and I think Cuz has got there.
Cuz really going for it in this one. But yeah, another thing is a lot of damage from BDD is going to be AoE, and Seraphine with that healing as well, doing a lot of healing, just able to keep the whole team topped up. Really, for KT, you want to just take one person out of the fight as soon as possible. When they had the fight at the Herald, that was ideal, because the longer 5 people are alive, you're chipping them down, the more value Seraphine has with those AoE heals and shields. You can see Andal close to having another item completed. Probably the Redemption, maybe the Mikhails, but not quite there yet.
Yep, still going to be something to watch out for. Maybe a little bit of the Soraka theory, which is kill that first and then try to figure out the rest of it.
Yeah.
Possibly easier said than done, though, especially with the amount of damage that could be raining down in the meantime. Casting moving away from Bulldog, and with good reason. Quantum Freaks all move down 8 seconds until that dragon is up and available, and Dudu possibly out of position here. Singularity to slow him down, but not in the optimal position, and he basically takes no damage at all. Casting now on a flank angle, but he's spotted here by Bulldog. There's the counter-strike. Arrow going to fly in amongst it as well, as Pioshik taking so much damage. Finally, the skies descend as the Dawning Shadow does a fair bit of work, but this is where the Seraphine can find her options as Beryl dives forward. Dudu looking for Deft. Good flash to get him out of the way, but Beryl is very dead. Just a catfish on the floor. And Quantum Freaks will say thank you very much for the Infernal Soul.
Yeah, and again, Quantum Freaks, the health bar is starting to get a little bit low. They get topped up. They're able to continue the fight, and then KT end up being the ones to have to back off. They don't have to sustain. Pioshik is looking, but Dudu is not going to let him get near. Yeah, he's gone. Soul secured for Quantum Freaks. That is going to be a definite big advantage for them. A huge boon, especially for champions like Cassante and Maokai, who are already tanky and now getting that extra damage. You can see this one plays out, and the backline is never really under threat for Quantum Freaks. KT end up a bit clumped up. Huge value from the Seraphine ult hitting Pioshik, who's the focus, but also BDD ends up having to flash away. Deft gets a big ult, but immediately after, look at the shield that comes out from Andal right now. Everyone is just so untouchable at this point, and Bulldog try to be a threat at the side, just back away, and then he can just get topped up in the aftermath.
Yep. Dudu just absolute brick wall in this game.
I mean, Cassante's already pretty tanky. Cassante with shielding and healing, you know, it's not very fun for KT in this one.
It's pretty ridiculous as well that Quantum Freaks got, like, it's almost ideal dragons lined up one after the other as well, because they get a lot of value with the amount of regen that they have with the shielding and healing from the Chemtech, and then they've got the Ocean for some regen, and then damage.
Yep.
Feels very, very nice.
And you can see goal difference in front of you. You know, Beryl still slightly, Beryl a decent amount ahead of Andal, but Andal picking up some big items, but the lead in the mid lane is a really significant one.
Yeah, and Deft is about half the gold of what Lipa has.
Doesn't even have a second item, and Lipa, he's gone the Executioners and has a Last Whisper as well in the inventory, so Deft level 11 as well, 3 levels down compared to Lipa. I mean, the thing is, like, you have Bulldog level 16. If Bulldog looks at Deft will die.
Yes. And Cuz taking a little bit of damage there, of course not as tanky, did go for the Leandries. Does have a very large health bar, but with Warmogs, that is a very confusing prospect, but of course can just get a whole bunch of that health back very, very comfortably. So we've got tanks turning into real tanks as the game goes on. And now Beryl, Arrow is going to connect onto the Tahm Kench. Deft in position, but There's not enough gray health for him to eat here as now BDD, he turns up, but he's just a little bit too late. So that is just a free time catch over to the Quandong Freaks and a Baron up and available. 4 versus 5.
Oh man, this is so hard. Like the Infernal Soul on the side of Quandong Freaks, and they still have Maokai ult, they still have Seraphine ult, KT. They feel like they have to contest this, but Dudu on the flank as well. This is so hard to play.
Well, Gyoshik gonna try and get in there. He steals it! All right, well, he's going to be sacrificed. Deft also is well and truly out of position. So they lose 2. Beryl is still dead as well. So 3 dead on the side of KT as Quandong Freaks. They fail to get the Baron, but they get all the map control.
I'm going to say this was the best of a terrible situation for KT. I'm not going to sit here and say it was good, but they got the Baron steal. I honestly thought that was going to be game over. It was Quandong Freaks' Baron. It was going to be them winning the team fight as well. But at least they denied the Baron. And against an Aurelion Soul, you're not going to be able to push too much without a Baron buff, so KT have bought themselves time to hopefully stabilize the game before the Elder Dragon in 3 minutes.
Going to be very, very difficult to do so as now Leaper able to walk out of the way of the Abyssal Dive. Beryl's still just trying to go for any engage he can find as Dudu pushes a wave towards the bottom side of the map that will go completely unanswered.
Oh man, Deft was building rapid fire cannon. It is now pivoted to armor pen because the enemy front line is so tanky. See the replay though, manages to get the health low, and I think the problem here was Quandong Freaks were so focused on the fight and kind of lost focus on the Baron, so a bit of a mistake there.
Yeah. Yeah, wait for Elder, I'll steal that one for you too. That is like...
What a great line.
Never change Pyoshik.
That's just Pyoshik in a nutshell. And yeah, Dudu finds us... I mean, the Infernal Soul does like 1/3 of his health.
Yeah. And also, you know, Deft was hit by the kitchen sink there, but Dudu probably would have been just fine to take him down alone. Quandong Freaks setting up for the Elder in 2 minutes.
I just think Quandong Freaks should never get the Elder low. There's no reason to. Don't risk a steal. They are so much stronger than KT right now. You want to fight. You have a million engage tools between your composition. Get the fight. Don't risk a flip on the Elder, and this game is theirs in the bag.
Yep, just get as much vision down on that bottom side of the map as they possibly can. And that should sort it out. Casting, I believe, does have the Baron, as you can see there. He does indeed. It's just him and BDD that have that one. But of course, having it on your split pusher, very important. So he will now be able to buff up his minion wave, try and get at least some pressure on this map, something that KT have been sorely lacking this entire game.
Oh, if Bulldog gets this solo gold, 700 gold, he might have enough for IE in the base. 4 items on this Trist would be so scary.
Yeah, and he has teleport, so he can be back out on the map immediately as well. Not that he really needs to. And there
and a crit cloak as well.
Okay, just a bit of icing on top.
Yeah, okay, well, I just really don't see an answer in this. It really has to be the flip. It has to be the steal from Pyoshik. That's the only angle I think they win this, because I don't see who kills Cassante right now. They just don't have the damage for it. And I don't see who really could be enough of a threat on Bulldog. He is going to do so much damage.
Well, BDD does have his Void Staff now completed. Needlessly large rod there as well. As you can see now, Pyoshik thinking about grabbing one last reset before they look to try and contest this Elder.
Okay, level 16 hit for BDD is pretty big. He has the Empowered ult as well. But I still think in a straight 5v5, you're losing.
Yeah, I think that it is definitely very rough. They're going to have to keep eyes on Bulldog because he is the big threat. Of course, Leaper does do a fair bit of damage now. Mortal Reminder now completed. Building towards lifesteal here as well as, look at those shots. Casting having to use his Counter-Strike, but isn't able to avoid the damage of the explosive charge.
You know, you can see from how KTO looking for a pick because they know the 5v5 is a struggle, but they've now all been spotted, and Quandong Freaks are ready.
Volleys flying through here now as well as BDD hit by a sapling is okay. They do manage to land a Glacial Prison onto Cuz. Teleport to come in though as the Cassante is coming back. Great Encore onto Beryl. He does have some great health to eat, but I just don't think it's going to be enough to keep him alive. Is now BDD just getting chunked out by Bulldog, who's getting the resets. He finds another one. He's just playing Mario on the Rift here as now Casting. Welcome to the LCK. And unfortunately, the first one is going to be an L by the looks of things as Bulldog going to be able to grab the ace. Here's Tristana looking absolutely incredible here in game number 1 of the summer season for the Kwangdong Freaks. And I think they're looking to end it here.
Yep, so well played from Kwangdong Freaks. The composition made sense. They got an advantage, and they never gave KT an angle back into the game. The Elder didn't even get touched. They didn't let any opportunity for Pyoshik to steal, and now they're getting their 1-0 in the series.
Kwangdong Freaks 1-0 up against KT. A little bit too much scaling on their side, but just great play out of this Kwangdong Freaks roster. Hats off to Cuz once again. The man is just extraordinarily good. 0-0-13 on the Maokai. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get that pivotal smite, so it wasn't an ideal game, so probably not going to get POG, but definitely played exceptionally well, and congrats to Leaper. Undying in his first match here in the LCK as well. Looking brilliant.
Yeah, great start. And the thing is, it's a really good start, but we want to see the consistency.
Yes.
You know, this is a team who's struggled with that before, so consistency across the split obviously is the end goal, but for now, consistency across the big series, a really good start. We're going to see them deliver again in game 2. And because the amount of damage he did, kind of absurd. You know, and how much of it is relevant damage, especially when there's a Sejuani with Warmogs and a Senna with Sustain, well, who knows? But regardless, it was a clean game played out from Kwangdong Freaks. One little hiccup with the Baron, and other than that, you can see the gold graph pretty smooth.
Yeah, looking very, very clean here for the Kwangdong Freaks. And you saw there as well in the coach's booth afterwards, Quantum and Bull both sitting behind this bottom lane. So plenty of brains in that room to try and get this bottom lane working out. But now it is time for us to go to a short break. Then the space is going to break it down. We'll be back with game number 2. See you soon.
끊겼다 지금.
나 괜찮아. 헤르메스야. 나 안 죽어.
나 해도 해도.
야, 좀 해보자.
볼게 살짝
보자. 앞에부터. 길부터.
앞에부터.
세주. 앞에부터. 오케이, 많이 줬거든. 끝내자. 미드?
한타가 안 되긴 해.
야, 미드 가자.
한타가 안 돼. 우리 바텀. 얘 나 잡을 딜이 아예 없어.
미드가 할까?
근데 미드가.
이거 라인. 야, 바텀 가야겠다. 바텀 가자.
야미.
오케이, 다음 판 잘해보자.
In this particular game.
You know what? I don't even think... I mean, that's a factor for sure. But I also think Beryl, like, he actually tried to do so much. That fight, he got the triple flashes with Tahm Kench. Engaged champions are so strong right now. Leona is really favored because of the tenacity nerfs and the Warmogs run.
I hear that he's pretty good at Leon.
Yeah, I've heard that too. So, in my opinion, stick Beryl on an engaged champion and don't just have him trying to engage on Tahm Kench. And I think it'll help a lot. Because I think the composition for KT was too inactive, too defensive, too focused on scaling. So a shake-up there would definitely be good for me. You can see the bans coming out. Kwangdong Freaks going in the same direction. KT have banned the Tristana that Bulldog had such a strong performance on, instead going for the Trist. So Ziggs left open, Skarner still open for a ban. Will they take that one away?
Or do you ban Ziggs and then first pick the Skarner? That's the other thing that I'm thinking about, as Cassante, yeah, so that's going to be the ban And now the Skarner ban has to come through here on the other side. Nidalee will then be left up and available unless Quantum Freaks ban something else away and then take the Nidalee as the response.
Yeah, you could target something here and just leave things open. You know, you could, because if you ban Skarner, they'll take Nidalee. If you ban Nidalee, they might take Skarner. But if you leave them both open, you're getting at least one of them. Just depends whether you want to risk it. They do opt to ban the Skarner, not wanting to deal with that, especially with that Xante. And KT don't go for the Nidalee. That's been so heavily prio. They go straight for the Ashe. Obviously, appreciating the value that Leaper was able to get on it.
Yep.
Just a lot of utility in that pick.
Ashe is something that Deft has played, you know, throughout his career, of course, because she was kind of around at the very beginning of League of Legends, and Deft was kind of around since about then as well. But he has have had some fantastic performances on this pick in the past. See how he's going to be able to go. As Corki, another consideration, something that can go towards Leaper, can go towards Bulldog. We've seen it in either of those roles. Not going to be delivering packages anymore. He retired from FedEx and is now just a regular guy.
Yeah.
You know, dropping phosphorus bombs and stuff, having a good time.
Using his Gatling gun.
Yeah.
To annihilate people. You remember that bug we used to have where we'd go and spectate and the Gatling gun would just...
Yeah. It was like the Zhonya's bug where it's like only the Zhonya's noise for like if
really
the champion's on the screen. Oh, God.
Maokai has been locked in. Makes sense because it's a really good game. It did a ton of damage. You have an AD mid lane, and remember, Corki is pretty much exclusively AD damage now. Only his Q is magic, I believe, or maybe his W, but that doesn't do much damage anyway. So, needs some AP. And we see on the other side, Talia locked in. I think if you're going to take Talia, just take the Vi. That combo has been so strong so far. I don't see a reason if you're taking one not to take the other.
Yeah, I also think this was one of the biggest mistakes in the draft from the last game, was not picking Talia and instead picking the Aurelion Soul and opting in for the amount of scaling that KT went for. I think it was just a little bit of a bridge too far, and they have since shored that one up. Like you were saying, though, taking a little bit of time here to find the Vi button. It is a little bit confusing, you know, in Korean. It could be a B sound, could be a V sound. It's not confusing at all because the alphabet works differently. So they just take a while to make up their minds. The Vi will be locked in.
Yeah.
Now, Bulldog, what is... Oh, okay, Leaper.
Not so sure about that one. I see Vi Talia and I think, wow, they're going to kill me.
Yeah.
How can I avoid that? I don't think that Draven is the pick into that. Jhin, though, you know, we've seen Jhin come back a bit more. I think the item changes really helped him out.
He won yesterday, didn't he?
He did win yesterday. And I think a big thing is a composition with a Maokai. You pop the ultimate, everyone on the enemy team is backing away. Prime opportunity to drop that Jhin ult and get a ton of value from it. And, you know, Jhin hasn't really been that meta for a while in pro play, but his ult has been buffed like a few times. It actually does insane damage now on low health targets. So if KT do end up disengaging from a fight in the low, could be just a cleanup there. And now you see top lane ban starting to come through, targeting, casting that Jax he was on last game, which didn't have too much impact, not due to his issue necessarily, but they aren't going to let him get it without the Xante to match into it.
Yep, and we'll see where KT's focus is going to be. Could be on supports, of course. Maokai, in theory, could be a support, but probably not, as Kaz had a great game on it last time around. Rel going to be taken away from Andil, and we'll see what other kind of engaged supports are going to be taken away on top of that. I am expecting Leona to see a little bit of attention because, of course, support's up and available on both sides. Both of these teams looking for one of those. And so it might be the Jax and then something else, but instead, Twisted Fate going to be taken away from casting as they keep their bans towards that top side, make sure that Dudu has the best time he can have.
It makes me wonder, are Quantum Freaks going to take top on 4, and that's why they're banning away things like the Chef and the Jax, and then give counter pick to Andal? It could be an interesting move, but honestly, it paid off last game.
Yeah.
Obviously, last game they picked the Xante because they knew the top matchup, but maybe they just really value Andal being able to see what he's playing into.
I also kind of think that Maokai Jhin sounds interesting. So they could theoretically play with some sort of flexing, and then Kuz goes for like a last minute, I'm just going to lock in Nidalee because they're about to pick Renekton here. I don't know whether it'd be good, but it'd be fun.
It would be fun. We'll see what they do. Obviously, if they want to keep that jungle flex alive, if they want to get the counter pick for support, they'll do that here. And it looks like they are going in that direction potentially. Actually, this doesn't answer any questions.
No.
This just... You know, I'm saying like...
It just adds more supports.
Yeah, you know, we really don't have any answers now. It could be the Camille support. It could not be the Camille support. Now KT have to try and lock in what they think something to answer what they think Quantum Freaks will be going. They go for the Nectarine, pretty stable staple in the current meta.
Yep.
And obviously does well into Camille in the early levels. And now a support pick for Beryl. A lot of these engaged supports have been trimmed down.
Oh,
and
he's just going to do it.
They're going to go for the Seraphine.
That would be very interesting, and there it is. So, of course, Beryl, a big fan of any champion that has range and can do some damage.
Yep.
Of course, he was the one that debuted the Hui support last season. So very, very happy to move towards something like this Seraphine, and denies it from Andal as well. Just going to be trying out their bottom lane for them. You can see Andal having a bit of a giggle about it as well. Oh, the Blitzcrank? Yeah. There it is!
I was going to say, your options here, you try and match scaling for scaling, or you go for a kill lane. And I think it's pretty clear they've gone for the kill lane. Ash Seraphine are going to be so vulnerable against this Blitzcrank. This is why Andal picked the Seraphine on 5, knew what he was going up against. A Tom wasn't enough threat for him, but a Blitzcrank is going to be a problem for Beryl.
Absolutely. We saw the power of the Blitzcrank in the hands of Lehens at the MSI final. We'll see whether Andal can do his best Lehens impression in this particular game. Blitz Jhin is something that we have seen in the past as well. It's very sad if the lane isn't going very well.
Yeah.
You know, because the Jin's just like, I don't do any damage, and it's sad.
If it's going well,
then everyone explodes all the time.
Knock up, fourth shot, done.
Yeah, knock up, fourth shot, and then you just keep them in place forever as well because there's so much added CC. It's kind of ludicrous. And with any sort of jungle attention, it will be very, very powerful.
I believe we have some KT employees there.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Team.
Just coming to see whether their employers, esports team, going to do well.
KT store in Hongdae.
Yeah.
I went there recently. There's a big shrine for the team and everything where people can put up their nice messages for them. It's really cute.
That's really cute. Yeah, did you put up a nice message saying at least win game 2?
I should have.
What were you thinking, Ox?
This is my fault if they lose.
Yeah, because we want to at least get 3 games out of it. My goodness. Well, it is a very different looking draft. A little bit more early power here for KT. We'll see whether that can get them across the line as we dive under the rift for game 2. Oh, man. Quantum fans are really yelling very, very loud as casting with a little bit of SKT representation here. I believe that is the Marin Renekton. Very, very cool.
Yeah, they are probably the only team where you have to think, wait, which player?
Yeah, I know. It's a toughie because there are quite a few different skins that you can go for, with more of them on the way. So it's just going to be very, very difficult to keep up. I do always remember, no matter what, 2 of the skins.
Yeah.
I always remember Easy Hoon's Azir.
Yeah.
And Blank's Zac.
Yeah.
They're the ones I remember. And the Blank Zac is only because no one ever uses that skin ever. And we saw like yesterday the purple Zac, you know, the release Zac skin, like the unstable experiment or something like that.
So
and I was like, why would you ever pick that skin? Ever. Yeah. You have access to all of them on this client, right? Like,
you have the pool party Zac, the bubblegum Zac. Yeah. You know.
And what's the new blob Zac that's like really, really cute and fun? I don't know, man. It just makes me a little bit sad. I think Majin Buu Zac is obviously the best.
Yeah.
You just go pink chroma. Like, that's it. That's all you have to do.
You know, I feel like some chromas are like, people have their preferences, like, okay, they're skin a different color, but I feel like Zac got the most value out of just a chroma.
Oh, yeah.
Doing so much for the champion.
The skins team really has a rough time when it comes to Zac, though, as casting not quite able to get the W off. That is not as ruthless as he wants to be.
I think there's some champions like, oh my god, there's so much we can do. It's like possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
With Zac, they're like, okay, what color do we want the blob to be?
Obviously, you know, Lux and Misfortune are those 2 champions where they have so many options of what to do.
Yeah.
And that's why they do them all.
I feel like Ashe has a ton of skins, Ezreal has a ton of skins, you know.
Yeah.
There's a few champions that he's got a lot of mileage out.
Not Zac. He's just a blob. It can be different colors of blob, and I think that's totally fine.
That's just his thing.
As speaking of skins, Andal back to the boxing Blitzcrank, one of the golden oldies.
Yeah.
Love to see it. And Deft always just goes with like the newest option of skin almost every single time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the guy that he's next to has a skin for this champion, and he's like, no, there's this cool new one that I'm going to pick up instead.
Yeah, but I feel like Beryl can't really say anything about that because he doesn't even use his own skins.
That is true. So that is very true.
Can't really say much there. And yeah, you know, you're kind of waiting for level 2, but also when you have pressure in the lane, so Deft and Beryl just have...
Huh.
Yeah.
So would you say that this is going to be a little bit doo-doo favored? It's looking pretty good.
Historically, looking pretty good, you know.
Of course, I feel like a lot of these stats are from when Camille was very dominant.
Yeah, when she was bonkers.
Yeah.
She is pretty good right now. You know, they gave her some buffs. She's in a decent spot, but maybe not. It's not peak Camille.
Yeah. That was after some nerfs, right? Like, if you haven't watched since MSI, it's sort of like she dipped down and then got back up again, sort of thing.
I mean, I think...
Or was it just buffs? Because that would be silly.
I think she was kind of buffed for MSI, but she didn't see that much play at MSI.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have it on the top of my head.
Well, right now, Casting, we just watched him win a trade, so it looks like Renekton way better than Camille right now.
Field's so big.
Yeah, but look, she's got that blue bar underneath. Casting doesn't have one of those.
Yeah.
So he just presses buttons.
You know,
when
this
the number
seems like
comes
the
up.
perfect point for a gank. When both top laners are low, they're dialed in, they're focused.
Ooh.
It's mano a mano.
True. Well, you can see Casting, he started it up. Ruthless Predator going to connect this time around. He's got the dice ready. It's almost just a solo kill as the flash forward from Pyoshik is going to guarantee it. Dudu didn't press his flash button, so that is good news, but still, first blood on the top side of the map once again for KT.
Yep, and I think Dudu could be happy that the wave state isn't too bad, and also it's not Casting who got the kill, but Pyoshik got there first and is able to deliver pretty easily, pick up that kill for himself and get some momentum.
Nicely done. Ward goes in, so Casting is going to be able to kill it, of course. Press W, kill wards. Really, really nice. Dudu able to hold the wave will force a teleport out of Casting.
Yeah, it's been unfortunate because obviously needs to kind of go towards the bot side. There's not really anything for him to do on the top side. Otherwise, they could maybe threaten Casting, but with his flash up, I'm not sure there's really that much reason to. And yeah, this setup, I mean, this is part of the power for Nectin. It's why we saw Nectin Italy so much back in the day. You just dash in, you press your stun button, and your jungler's there to follow up.
Beautifully played. Pyoshik making sure that he guarantees the kill. And now, just going to be back into it, see whether Dudu can right the ship. Of course, still in a decent position when it comes to farm, and as far as scaling, even though, you know, you can say all of those funny scales puns about Renekton, certainly not going to have that in his advantage over the Camille. The side lanes should belong to Quantum Freaks towards the end of this game. Right now, Casting looking pretty good, as Dudu does have that wave crash towards his turret. No plates just yet, and haven't really had too much of a check-in on the bottom side. If you have a look at the numbers, looks like about a wave in advantage here for Deft.
If nothing's happened, it's going pretty good for KT.
Yeah.
That's the general takeaway. Summoners available. I will say, though, you know, one of the things I talked about last game was KT's comp was very good at dealing AoE damage with, like, the Aurelion Sol. Terrible against the Seraphine. Whereas a lot of the components from Quantum Freaks is single target damage. You know, the Corki is more for bursty assassin now. Camille and Jhin and Blitz are all good at, like, bursting out one target. So the value for the Seraphine may not be as good as Andal got in that game one. Oh, Beryl.
Yeah, able to sidestep the hook. Andal down to about 50%, but Deft not wanting to walk into the fog of war. You've got captive audiences all over the place.
You know, I feel like
that was a weird word to use.
Playing a mobile champ into Blitzcrank, it's all about confidence, you know.
Oh,
every time you dodge it, you gotta kind of strike your stuff and be like, yeah, easy, any day, and then that's when it starts to get in Andal's head.
Since 2010, I've had a complete mental block against Blitzcrank. I walk into them almost every single time. I don't know what it is. I just can't play against that champion. I really do have a massive issue.
Whereas Beryl is completely unfazable.
No, completely. Unflappable. No one can... And it is the Beryl way. It does make a lot of sense. And so he just sort of slides to the left. It's the walk tactic that we were employing at MSI after you coined it.
I heard that. It was doing a lot of value there.
A lot of work.
It's sweeping the nation and even international events.
Indeed. And we are going to continue pushing it forward. here at the LCK as 2024 summer rolls around. As Casting for an opportunity, but he's going to get stunned for his work. Still able to trade back quite nicely as the W was able to connect. And so Dudu just looking to continue putting on as much pressure as he can. So far he's been using his shield very effectively as it does come up. And of course, pretty easy to guarantee that you get it correctly onto the physical.
Look good for him though.
This is
unhealthy.
Somewhat subpar as old here. He's jumped a little bit further forward than he would otherwise like. As Casting once again almost towards a solo kill, and he's now looking to try and deliver this one over to BDD. It doesn't quite work out, and Casting's gonna have to whoa! He walks back and gets himself killed. He was like, no, Dudu, you deserve this one. You put in really good work, and look, sir, you can have it.
He said, I don't want to win lane on the back of 2 ganks.
Yeah.
Have one back. We'll make it even.
Yeah, there you go.
Respect. That's how top laners should play it.
It's the only way to explain what just happened.
I feel like we're going to watch back the replay, and we're going to hope to get answers, and we're going to be more confused looking at back the second time.
Yeah, I can already guarantee that that's the case. I think memory is just enough. That he just walked in there. And here it is. Here's that replay. Explain it to me, Orcs.
So 90% of the work done, gets him really low. Dudu ends up flashing, which in 90% of situations I'd say is a terrible idea. But then he ults Casting, and Casting tries to dodge the Talia Q.
Aha!
His own team.
That's what it was. That threaded volley. You can't get hit by the threaded volley, man.
Yeah.
That's all right. Casting.
Maybe that's where Casting has a mental block. You have it against Blitzcrank, and Casting has it against Talia. Too many rocks thrown at him.
And that's why they didn't pick Talia in game number 1 to make sure that his debut wasn't against a champion that he has struggled into the past. That is a great shove, though, from BDD onto Handle, but already it started off poorly here for KT. A 1-for-1 in the end. Support for Jungler is now Beryl. That encore was not it. Now Def will finally turn up. Another phenomenal seismic shove going to come in as Def finally has the arrows, but it's just not going to be enough. Leaper dives on top of him, and it's a triple, almost a quadra kill for Bulldog, but Leaper takes it in the end.
Huge fight there from Quandron Freaks, and Bulldog gets so much value on the Corki. The auto damage, 100% AD, 15% extra true damage, doing so much there. The Gatling gun as well, and I think KT, they saw a window to turn the play around, try and pick the Blitzcrank, but when you focus your Vital, your CC onto the Blitzcrank, you're just letting the Corki just free hit for the whole fight.
Yeah, and the seismic shoves are really good. I feel like BDD played it quite well, but Bulldog just right-clicked. And now Andel's in the top lane, and that is a nice little hook. Going to be set up brilliantly there. The Dominus not quite going to be enough, but at least the Q doing some work. And now a flash forward from Pyoshik. Finds the punch under the Camille once again. And Casting just kind of masterfully baiting the whole situation.
Yep, that's why he gave the key for the free kill before, because he knew he could mind game.
Aha!
You just like another free kill for me? Not this time.
The psychological battle here in his debut series.
It's all mind games all the way down.
It's glorious. I love that when there's layers, layers upon layers.
Like an onion.
Uh-huh.
Or an ogre.
Indeed. I was wondering whether you were going to get the Shrek reference in there, and he managed to do it. Okay, here we go. And it started off with Pyoshik just trying to deny CC.
Yeah.
He found the nice shove, and it looked like it was going well for KT.
I think that's the problem, is that it denies the CC, but it commits you to a fight where you're trading your Vi for Blitzcrank, and then Bulldog is doing so much damage at this point. Great flash there, but just the consistent autos, and again, they focus the Maokai because it's done his job. And the 2 left standing are these 80 carries who can just walk at you and left click.
Yeah, that was it. And this looked like it was going to go well. And then look at the value from the Q out of Casting. Working out very, very nicely. Pyoshik in good position.
Yep, second time he's done that, come top lane, flashed the Q and just killed Dudu. Probably getting sick of that at this point, but yeah, gold still in favor of KT despite everything. They do have 6 Void Grubs in their pocket, and they are trying to set up control for this Dragon. But this Corki, Bulldog already 3-0-1 with the Triforce. He is the major threat right now.
Yep. Letting us know here, thank you, Jonas Strong.
Ult and Leaper cleansed it.
Indeed. So we've got ult for cleanse. That is the trade-off. And it looks like we're going to be evening out these dragons unless Quandong Freaks have something to say about it. Blast Cone available for Cuz, opts out of it here as the Drake is going to be picked up. Hook once again going to be walked away from by Beryl. He is an expert at that one as Cloud Soul coming in.
I'm curious about this situation because I feel like them all trapped in the pit, Maokai coming through, Cuz could have used the blast cone, you have Jinl.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good setup. I probably would have just taken the fight. Even if they get the dragon, I probably would have just gone for it. But I guess Quantum Freaks just opt out. They feel like they're fine with taking this game later and don't feel a need to kind of flip the game on a dragon. Whereas me, you know, I see champion kill champion.
Yeah, no, I kind of like that. The Moscow 5 theory from many years ago. Cuz did just complete his Leandries off his most recent back, so might have been sitting on a fair bit of gold. May not have been as confident in their ability to win that fight.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that go into whether you want to make play. Plus, a big element of Quantum Freaks is their ability to find picks, so perhaps didn't just want to go for a straight 5-5 without taking someone off the map first.
Yeah, maybe if the hook had landed from Andal, then everything's different. As soon as the hook doesn't land, they back away from it. There it is, landing this time around. Very easy on a stationary target. And Deft now just getting completely torn to shreds. Valkyrie forward from Bulldog, cleanse from Deft. He gets out of dodge, but BDD may not be in a good enough position. And now Casting, he's making his way in 3 low health members. This is so scary, and the seismic shove onto the rocks from BDD. And he secures his target, and now this huge crocodile is looking for Leaper. He does have a trap in place and is able to stop the Croc from chasing him down, but still a great play from KT.
You can see how assured Quantum Freaks were that they were winning this play. The Bulldog is willing to Valk through a full unraveled Earth to get the kill on the Deft. They get baited in, Casting TPs through, they'll get the tower as well, and suddenly we have a pretty significant gold lead for the side of KT. 3,000 ahead right now. Quantum Freaks will take the Herald as a compensation prize, but that is all they will get. And KT, game's in a much better spot than that game 1.
Compensation prize sounds fine, but isn't it consolation prize?
Yeah, I was testing you.
Aha! Did I pass or fail?
You succeeded.
Oh, there we go.
Pretty sharp on that one, you caught it.
All right. Let's hope that Dagon catches it and doesn't do that thing from yesterday.
Oh, don't even, please, don't bring it up again.
Sorry, I keep bringing it up. I
Yeah,
should stop bringing it up. Oh, so annoying, man.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get it out of our minds. Hopefully Andal is going to look for a hook in the coming minutes, and then we'll be able to really zone in. Here we go. Here's a replay as Beryl. This was him engaging.
Yeah. And the thing is, the TP's committed to the play, but I just don't think they expected to have killed Beryl so quickly. And then Bulldog comes in and look like he just dashes through the rocks. Like, no, we've got this. We're good. Oh, wait. That's a crocodile. The W misses from Leaper as well. They don't get a kill on the Deft. And then this Renekton turns up. And Andal's like, no, I'll peel for you, Bulldog. And then he just dies too. It would have been a 1-for-1 if they'd just let Bulldog go, but...
It was nice target selection, actually. The fact that BDD was able to take down Bulldog by himself allowed that extra kill onto Andal, who otherwise could have just, you know, maybe just boosted his way out of there. Wasn't to be the case, though, as now BDD, he's very strong. 2-1-3 on the Talia, looking for his Leandries, stacking up that Archangels as well, as per usual. And Casting is a big crocodile.
Yeah, he's been having a really good game. I feel like last one, he didn't get to do much. He was obviously played around a little bit to get an advantage, but playing into Seraphine as a Jax, a Seraphine sort of comp that's all grouped up with a ton of CC didn't seem very fun, but now he's been making quite a bit of impact. That TP really valuable.
Also looking like a different player to what Perfect was, right? I feel like Perfect was often one of these more utility-based top laners. I'm going to have to hold that thought for a moment. BDD in trouble. Hook going to connect. And there it is. Encore not going to be landing here either, as Andal just trying to get out of there, and will be able to do so. Cuz tanking up the turret for him.
Yeah, good teammate Cuz tanking that one up for him. Very long CC chain.
Yeah, I feel like that snare lasted for way too long. I was like, hang on a second. Are we going to have a pause? But we did. It was just Andal, and it is just as intended as now.
I don't think you're outplaying this. I don't think there's any...
No. Can you get the ultimate out of Kyoshik is the question, I guess, that you can ask. And the answer is no, you can't. As Kyoshik going to do some Overwatch tactics here as he's looking to try and, you know, stagger the back, stagger the resets.
That's pretty big because Dragon's up for 20 seconds. So Bulldog will, I think, have TP up by then. But maybe KT can look for an advantage on the back of that spawning up. And we'll see here, I think maybe what made the really long CC chain was like the Ash Arrow coming from far away.
Ah, could have been. Yes, there it is, there it is.
Yeah, because the stun was...
It was obscenely long.
Yeah, very long stun, but you can see now KT, they know Bulldog's still down, still unavailable. Oh, and a great wall as well. KT have just come alive since game 1.
And I think it might have something to do with this Talia for BDD. He has been extraordinarily good on this champion throughout his entire career, and the Aurelion Soul was just kind of a non-factor this time. He's kept up in farm and is an absolute threat in this mid-game. Really good to see. So KT able to keep up with the momentum that Quantum Freaks have been looking for themselves. Otherwise, things pretty even as far as farm is concerned across the board. You know, slight lead here for casting, but that has only recently occurred. 3,000 gold mainly coming from, you know, a bit of extra turret money as first turret blood going over to KT. And they do have 6 grubs as well. And so that means that these turrets could continue to fall. Top lane is in dire straits, as we can see. And casting not going to be looking to topple that one just yet, but BDD on a split push as well towards this bottom side. So finally some momentum in KT's hands. So 3 games looking like a possibility. And that is all we really want here. Because yesterday it was the 6-game banger day, you know, and I was there for a little bit at the beginning, but I didn't really get to feel the magic of it, you
Imagine if it just kept going. Remember we had that really long streak last year of just 2-0 series? Imagine if we just had a 3-game series all the way.
Well, whenever a new person starts at the LCK, but whether it be on the global side or on the Korean side, it's always their responsibility how long the days are.
Yeah.
And so already, Degon is guaranteed that we're getting 6 gamers, because he's here and he's a 6-gamer guy.
He's a 6-gamer guy.
And that was me when I debuted in OGN as well. I started off and it was just 6-game days for weeks on end. And I was really psyched about it, you know, because I was new. And Carsten John was just like, dude, why do I have to be here all the time? Forever and ever.
No free.
It's your fault. I was like, I'm sorry. You're my hero. I'm sorry. Good times. He was definitely having a laugh with me, but I wasn't ready to not just take everything that he said seriously.
Yeah, a little bit too green.
Yeah, I was a bit too green. But we're gonna have to do that with Degon as well. But unfortunately, I've kind of given away the whole thing.
You know what I did? You know what I did? You know what I did yesterday? I mean, I think I told you about this one. Yeah, it was after because we did 2 rehearsals and then we did the opening, and then afterwards I was like, oh man, that was terrible. And Degon's face,
yes, you did tell me about.
He just looked. He looked so like. He was like, I thought it was okay.
Yeah. Just completely defeated. Oh, it was beautiful.
That was hilarious.
It's got to be so young, you know?
They must be like, damn, they're horrible at the LCK.
Oh, sorry, Degon.
You know, it's even funnier when we can see him and laugh at his expense. That just really adds to it.
It really does. It's really brought this KT versus Quantum Freaks series alive, as we might even have a team fight. Having a look to see what's going to happen here. Just testing the waters, quite literally here in the river. Quantum Freaks not going to be pulling the trigger just yet. You can see Camille making her way out onto the map. Both top laners with teleports at the ready. A very damaging build here from the Renekton. Kind of love it.
Yeah, he is going to hit. And I will say, you know, it's a hype build, but it does mean there is no one on the side of KT who is tanky. And when Jin opens up with an ult, it's every man for himself. Like, it's like, oh, casting, protect me. And he's like, nah, bro, I am blocking anything for you. He's just as squishy as, like, BDD is. Squish it, in fact.
But he does do a lot of damage, as we can see here. Dudu not quite able to tank him up just yet. Wants his Ravenous as soon as possible. A little Vampire accepted, not quite enough.
That 20-4 win-loss and the Camille scaling. Not feeling very convincing right now.
This might be the 5.
Yeah.
As we're changing the division of the whole matchup by a whole number. Absolutely crazy. If this Renekton does manage to pick up the victory, which at the moment, 1,000 gold in the lead for KT. Definitely better than game number 1. And they also have a Dragon lead as well.
I think Leaper's going to be able to base and get IE, yeah. Well, it's not as bad for Leaper, but for Bulldog, they're looking for play.
Yeah, although this is kind of just cuz right now. He's just fighting casting. Dudu will eventually make his way down and does try and keep him in position. There is the Dominus. They do have the dice as well. Casting is actually not wanting to use it because he has teammates coming down as well, and Quantum Freaks starting to realize that they have overstayed their welcome. Good flash from Cuz that has to use it to get out of the way of the arrow.
Legitimately, I actually think he could have 1v2'd there. If they,
I was kind of thinking that.
I think Dudu and Cuz suddenly realized, like, okay, we've got it, and they're like, wait a minute. wait, like you could see Dudu ready to go in and thought for a second, like, I'm not sure I survived this.
But also, Bulldog had teleport available, so if he had have committed, then it's likely he dies. Although I guess BDD had his as well, so I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of factors to take into account.
Yeah,
but yeah,
maybe just lack of information.
It's not as bad for Lipa, but Bulldog has just IE, so he's just playing, he's just gambling right now. He's just playing the slot machine. If he crits, big damage.
Yeah.
If he doesn't crit, well, maybe go next game.
This used to be the Corki build. It's like we've come full circle. It's
I remember,
crazy.
I think there was a series back in the day in the LCS where like a fight came down to like 30% crit Corki critting 3 times.
Yep, yeah, it was probably double lift as well.
I'm ready for it to happen here.
Yeah, as okay, the Dragon down to 50% as now Andel's just flashing forward, manages to get the hook, but he's taking so much damage. He's first one to go down. BDD goes golden as well to survive through it, and now the Ash is tearing them to shreds. Carson gets amongst it. He's going down like paper, like you were saying, but Deft is still raining hell on them. There's the weave as well. The flash comes out from Dudu, and Kwangdong Freaks are just pushed away from this Dragon Pit.
Yeah, I mean, part of the problem, they didn't have the Maokai ult, and yes, they managed to get in and get on top of BDD, but the follow-up isn't there in time. I think it was actually Beryl who pushed forwards to block the fourth shot from the Jhin.
Whoa, there's the arrow. Seismic Shove is going to be avoided, as Bulldog not CC'd quite long enough. And that was a very short-range arrow, so of course not going to have the most CC up and available. Trades value pretty high.
You know, Cloud saw a lot of value, the extra movement speed for these picks on the side of KT, dodging things like a Jhin a lot easier. And there is a ward there, Dudu.
There is.
And
know it.
Your team aren't there yet. They'll get the Scuttle Trap. Oh, no, they're just...
Yeah.
One of those games, well, they are resetting, but... And they do it kind of fast. Maybe they can get this in time, actually. This might just be the play.
It's going so incredibly quickly. Yeah, and KT, you probably knew exactly what was happening here. You saw all of them converge, but that is just a free Baron. It's a hook as well. As now Beryl, he had to flash to get out of the way of that one, but he cannot flash again, so he's just dead. So it's not only a Baron, but it's also a pick. Def trying to offer some damage back, but the damage has been done.
You know what? It's my fault. I saw KT win that Dragon fight, and I was like, damn, they're going to bring this to a game 3. And the second that thought went through my mind, Kwangdong Freaks just dialed in. Oh, no.
And now Def going to have to go with some fancy footwork here as Pyoshik not having... Oh, okay.
Not even close.
Yeah.
You know?
Just walk.
That's a world champion right there. He doesn't hesitate. He doesn't, he doesn't struggle in these moments under pressure.
Ignore the world champion that just got hooked up. The Baron went down for free.
Yeah, so in this one, they commit so much to try and get BDD, but the follow-up isn't there. Bulldog doesn't even have rockets. And then actually, I think the final shot, I think Beryl pushes forwards to block one of them, but regardless, casting dives in, creates so much space and does go down, but the rest of Kwangdong Freaks has to back away. And yeah, they don't manage to catch anymore. That looked like a winning play, but I think the reset timings all came in together.
Yeah,
and the Baron went so fast. I mean, double 80 carry, Maokai with Leandries and the Camille. I guess it just works.
It does. You can see Def there, able to get a fair bit of damage here onto Cuz.
I think it's hilarious that like they went on Baron, they cleared the ward, and then they went on Baron again, and they still had enough time to do it all.
Yeah.
You know?
I was thinking that as soon as that controller was kind of ignored in like this weird way, that it just wasn't going to be enough. Is Arrow going to connect onto Lipa? He flashes over the wall after the cleanse. That's both summoner spells now down. Weaver's Wall coming in. Arnil in no man's land, and Dudu is with him and is now casting. He's going to come in. The Hextech ultimatum to try and avoid some of the damage, and Kwangdong Freaks get the first 2 kills of the fight. BDD looking for more. The health bars are so incredibly low. Is BDD finally able to go into that Zhonya's to keep himself alive? Lipa finds the shot and just ends the Renekton. And now Cuz flashes forward with the Bramble Smash, and that is the ace for the Kwangdong Freaks.
Would you believe it, Max? Jhin did things!
He did! He came out of stun and just said no!
Yeah, the cleanse a little bit off time, but it gives 75% tenacity now after the buff, so able to get away, and you see it's a very sort of split fight. We have the backline of KT under threat here from Bulldog. Beryl gets deleted. On the top side, finally we see Dudu go down, but Lipa is just free hitting, and then this crit that comes through with the Collector as well finishes off the Renekton, and then Cuz just vibing. The whole fight wasn't really focused, just doing his thing, smashing some brambles.
Yeah. Nice indeed, Lipa. Really well played. And Kwangdong Freaks are really poised. I mean, it's not the same level of lead that we saw in game number 1, But finding that free Baron, now with a 4.6k Red Bull Baron power play, as it is about to time out, they should be able to deny this Soul, which is coming up in 45 seconds.
Yep.
And it's really swung back in favor of the Kwangdong Freaks, and all we wanted was 3 games, KT. You didn't need to win the series, okay?
The lead isn't as big as the previous game, but KT don't have a Senna, KT don't have an Aurelion Sol.
They don't have a tank.
They don't have anyone who's even vaguely tanky. They have bruisers. I honestly think BDD... Oh.
Okay, Cuz looking for an opportunity here as the Weaver's Wall comes down. Beryl is going to get almost hit by the final shot, but he was out of the curtains.
Yeah, I was going to say BDD with the Zhonyas and the Seraphs and the Liandrys might be one of the tankier members on the squad, which says a lot. And, you know, the Rockets from Bulldog level 16 is starting to do a decent amount of damage, but Leaper, if he look, he has Rapid Fire, Collector, IE, and a Dick. If he autos any Squishy, which is everyone, it's just going to do so much damage.
Well, Dudu is going to spot Pyoshik here, or Pyoshik spotted or someone. There was some scouting done by both teams.
Neutral spotting, they spotted each other.
Indeed. Speaking of neutrals, the Dragon going to be claimed here by the Kwangdong Freaks. That's what their tempo has afforded them thus far. Now looking to push down here on this bottom side. This inner turret is going to go down so incredibly quickly as Leaper 4-0 and 4 on this Jhin. Rapid Fire Cannon now done as well. Look at that chunk onto the turret. And I'm not a huge Jhin fan. This guy is almost making me a believer.
Yep. He's convincing us. He's slowly doing the work.
I tell you what, though, the main thing that I really didn't like was lethality Jhin. That just felt terrible.
Now you have a bit of both, you know, bit of lethality, bit of crit,
yeah,
a lot of damage.
Yeah, I like the crit version a whole lot more. As Seismic Shove going to go wide. There is the Nature's Grasp. As OK, Andal not going to quite find the hook, as there it is. Cease and desist, and they say no to Bulldog. He is very, very dead. KT finding a little bit of respite here, as that push didn't quite work out for the Kwangdong Freaks.
Yep, that QSS sitting in Bulldog's inventory, not doing anything in that situation.
That's an expensive paperweight at that point in time, as Pyoshik doesn't have cease and desist now, but there's the Weaver's Wall from BDD. Looks for the opportunity on the Leaper, who just walks over to the side. Andal might be taken down here as Pyoshik in trouble. Def just flying forward, finds the Jhin. BDD once again and expertly used Zhonyas just to bait them through. And Dudu couldn't find anything for it, and KT have come alive.
They managed to find a huge fight there, and it feels like Kwangdong Freaks are trying to turn it around, trying to send more members into it. They just get deleted. Baron is up in 24 seconds. Members of Kwangdong Freaks are going to be down. 80 carry on top, not going to be up for the spawn, so they can just rush it. And here, Bulldog just didn't respect Pyoshik's ability to flash R. It was that simple. Didn't wind up with a Q, didn't give any sort of notice. Just a solid pick there, and then listens to him play. You can see Leaper is trying to focus damage onto the Vi here, but the health is just a bit too much for him to cut through, and Def just walks up, confidence.
He just kited forward the whole time. As now Baron has been started. Okay, Cuz up and available. Dudu doesn't have teleport, remember, so this is going to be KT's advantage with all 5 members here. They've got the healing from the Seraphine as well. They just need to keep Cuz out of the pit. That is all they have to do. Is now Bulldog. He is once again going to eat a cease and desist, and he's all by himself casting, dives over the Baron wall as well, and KT, an expertly played Baron. They will be able to lock that one down, and I think that maybe they've just dialed in. You know, there was some funny business before, but they've sorted it out.
Just when you've kind of given up on hope for KT winning their first series, they're like, okay, guys, 8th is at an absolute low.
No, and continue to be given up. Otherwise, this is going to go back again, and maybe this game will never end.
Honestly, it's like that thing when people are like, I'm looking away, I'm looking away. You know,
don't look back.
Don't look.
We'll tell you when it's safe.
Oh, I'm looking. Okay, now they're going to lose. You know, you just got to stare away and listen to our voices as we guide you through this hectic roller coaster.
And we're very happy to do so. That's what we're here for. So don't you worry. If you're concerned, if you're a Kwangdong Freaks fan, feel free to watch. You know, just have a great time. It's only KT that has this problem.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I feel like Bulldog at this point, I don't know, do you buy a Zhonyas or something? Like, what is the answer? You just keep getting ulted.
I think you want a GA maybe, so then at least you buy some time for the rest of your team to turn up. I don't know. Right now it's looking really difficult because the gold has swung back once again. Inner turret's now starting to fall down.
Still not that big of a lead though.
No. I do feel like map leads are a little bit more important in this particular game. The siege potential of KT is also quite high.
And Soul's up in a minute, and I don't think Quantum Freak's going to get much chance to get near that.
And think about it, if they have Cloud Soul, they can ult run way faster towards the Baron, so no more free Barons for Quantum Freaks.
Yep, and also dodging those Jhin ults becomes a lot easier.
Very true. We'll just have to see. Deft now with 3.5 items completed himself. 4 items done for Leaper, who does have the Edge of Night now secured as well, so that extra shielding is certainly going to be important here.
We'll see a replay of how the fight went. So basically, Yoshik pressed off.
Yeah.
That's my summary.
It was beautiful. Really eloquently delivered.
Yep. You know, I feel like we've seen a lot of it with Nautilus. They waste with fight 2. This champion remains powerful just because of that. Quantum Freaks do find a window. Resets come in from KT, and they actually push out of the base, and they're on map to contest the Dragon, so that's a positive for them.
Well, looks like Rift will go over to Quandong. Yep. KT continue to push, casting on a flank angle here.
Look at that burn from the sapling, by the way.
Yeah.
Hit like 4 people there.
Cuz is pretty legitimate.
Oh, look at Deft, by the way.
Deft is taken down to 50%. Doesn't have lifesteal in the build right now. And there is the Dragon secured by the Quandong Freaks. So both teams on Soul Point now. Quandong Freaks do also have Dudu in a side lane. And KT, what they want is to just take an inhibitor in trade. They might be able to get there, as Dudu actually decided to go back to the wave to try and challenge. This inhibitor is not long for the world, so they want to get at least something. But casting, he goes back. The curtains have now been called, and the Weaver's Wall will be able to knock Leaper out of it, even though the Edge of Night was there as BDD. He's getting taken down low, but he has that Zhonya's. There's now Bulldog going to get pushed back. BDD thrown into the thick of things, though, as there's Leaper's cleanse, and casting trying to get up there, but he can't really do it. Dudu is just a monster as Beryl's flashing away, and they've lost both of their carries, and now Leaper, another just explosion of crit damage on top of this Renekton. Beryl can't do anything. And this new AD carry for the Quandong Freaks is popping off.
He's doing so much work. KT overcommitting to the base. Perfect lineup for not only the Jhin ult, but the flank that comes through. And now it's only the Vi alive. The death timers are long. The waves are there. They're going to look for the end here and now.
Let's see what they can do. They've got that wave turning up towards that bottom side. They can tank up these turret shots as well to try and keep this wave alive for as long as possible. Pyoshik, he's going to need a miracle, but I just don't think he's going to be able to buy enough time. He needs 13 seconds on BDD, and he just will not have it. The Quandong Freaks, a 2-0 in their debut match of summer. Leaper comes out and says, World Championship bottom lane? Nah. That's not what I'm interested in. Another hook for Arndil. And the Quandong Freaks take the 2-0.
And it's a convincing series. It's a really strong performance. You know, people always love to make jokes about KT and them underperforming, them having rough times. And sure, you can definitely say that this wasn't KT, the best we've seen them. But I think, to me, this was Quandong Freaks stepping up. A great start to the season. Leaper fit right in with the squad. And they're able to deliver. You know, game 1, I think they had a draft edge, but game 2, I think it just really came down to the gameplay. There's a couple of flubs definitely where they got challenged, but the Baron rush made such a difference. Decisive calls coming in clutch, and then able to find that fight at the end to rebound and win the game.
And the huge smile on Arndil's face really is giving me a lot of great vibes, because we know that he struggled so much last season. His mentality really was affected. He had a lot of anxiety that he was trying to get through. But today, just looks like vibes, even though sometimes, you know, he had some hooks that didn't quite work out, some things that didn't quite happen, but that huge smile, that is enough. And this gentleman right here, back-to-back Maokai's, but still making it happen. Cuz still probably going down as one of the most ridiculous pickups here for the Quandong Freaks. Yeah. The fact that he had such an incredible 2023 and then couldn't find one of the, I guess, normally Western side teams. Quandong Freaks, definitely a lot of potential on this squad. Maybe we'll have to keep our eye out for them when it comes to making it more like through the playoffs rather than just to the playoffs.
Yeah, today, fantastic. Please keep it up, because I think it's so easy to support this team and just enjoy seeing the players win, because they're all good vibes and they all put in so much effort. And I think because, as you said, it was surprising to see him on Quandong Freaks, but he's really elevated this roster and the players all stepped up to try and get to a level where they can contest with these top teams.
Yep. Leaper there just really feeling it.
This is how you're going to debut.
Oh, yeah. I like that he has a sit down in the chair just to soak in the vibe of getting a win at Lol Park here in his debut series.
Yeah, and you know, casting unfortunately doesn't end up winning on the day, but I think he still had a pretty strong. His Renekton was solid. I don't think it's really down to him. KT ended up losing this one, so he'll get another chance hopefully. Most likely where he'll be able to get a win under his belt. But yeah, today definitely Leaper's day.
Certainly was, and all of us wrong on this one. And you know, I tweeted about it
2 days in,
because I decided to do the I'll predict KT to win both of their series.
Oh, God.
And that was a weird decision
So
to make.
it's your fault.
Yeah. It does mean that KT is more likely to beat D plus Kia later in this week, but they definitely did not win here today. Quantum Freaks off to a great start.
Yep, absolutely. And again, just maintain that consistency, keep it up. I think as well, they sort of came in with a smart draft as well. Like the gameplay was good, but like the draft in the game one, the Seraphine, the pick on 5, the Blitzcrank as well, and the pick potential, you know, they knew from their game, they know from practicing how the Seraphine functions, how you get value, and the pick potential working well, just taking out members of the enemy team.
And they've been a Seraphine team for a long time, right?
Yeah.
So just with all of that extra practice certainly working out, that was the slight outplay there
they made
of casting on himself. And they did make Jin work, and that's the thing that impresses me the most.
Yeah, and Jin really worked. It wasn't just like, okay, Jin was there, you know, and we won. It was like Jin was doing things.
And it was like a giant crocodile was like slicing towards him, and he just shoots him in the noggin.
Yeah, that is generally how, I mean, you would be more of an expert on this, but I think that's how you're supposed to respond to a big scary crocodile running at you.
I think so. Normally it's shriek and try to run away.
Well,
that's the tactic most often used.
Or maybe they should try this one then, yeah.
Yeah. Certainly being a champion with all of these really cool items that are all weapons is probably going to help. Jin
notoriously struggles in the tanks, and there just wasn't one.
Yeah.
No, he didn't have to deal with that. Just bruises and squishies.
He also didn't have to build any sort of armor penetration item whatsoever, right? So kind of absurd.
Just flat pen all the way.
And that is a very happy Quantum Freaks. And everyone just yelling, great job, great job. You can really see the veteran Cuz just taking all of these young players towards the Nexus.
And against his former team as well.
Yeah.
It's gotta feel good.
And I think, you know, Dudu having a little bit more of a subdued performance in this series, but when Dudu's having a subdued performance and Quantum Freaks look this good, that's when you know that they've made some improvements.
Yeah, to be fair, I think game 1 he did do some Dusante.
Oh, yes.
That was very, but yeah, this game 2, it wasn't really about him, but it's kind of shown, like, Bulldog, I think, had a really good series, and sometimes he's been one we've given criticism to. Cuz is just topping the damage charts on Maokai.
As usual, yeah.
Definitely felt like a team effort in this one.
Certainly did. Deft also doing a lot of damage himself, but unfortunately it wasn't enough to actually get them across the line. And a 2-0. And so the streak's already been broken.
T gone.
Oh, man.
He lasted a day.
He did. He lasted 1 day. Oh, it's terrible. But at least he stopped doing the thing, so it's fine.
Oh, well, for now.
Fingers crossed anyway. So I think it's now time to throw it over to the desk, though. See what they thought about the Quantum Freaks victory.
Thank you very much. This is Dear for the POG interview translation, joined by Andol and Leaper on the side of Kwangdong Freaks, who just took a 2-0 victory against KT. Congratulations! Andol, in the regular spring season, both teams exchanged 1 win each, but you had a clean 2-0 victory today. How do you feel? To be honest, I didn't really start the game thinking that we're going to win, but I feel like all the team fights went really well, my teammates did really well, and Leaper, I know Leaper was so eager to win, and I'm really happy that we were able to secure that. And Leaper, you're finally here on the LCK stage. How do you feel? Before the stage, it was really surreal, the fact that I made it as a professional gamer, and I was really nervous, but once I started and got into the game, I I really felt, and it came to me, it hit me that I am Leaper, not just 최기명, and that I am a truly professional gamer in the LCK, and that I made it this far. And Andal, and when you saw Leaper, did you notice any nerves from him? Yeah, I feel like he was pretty nervous. Leaper, he tends to complain a lot, and you know, he was nagging at me a lot. He nagged at me all day today, but the moment we went into the game, I feel like he didn't play as if he was nervous at all. And Leaper, this was your debut, which was a pretty hot topic today. And you were against Steph, who you said was like a wall you couldn't climb, and you successfully broke down that wall. So how was your matchup against Steph today? Yeah, I grew up watching Deft. So I feel like I was just really excited. Being able to play against someone who used to be my role model is just such a big honor. And I feel like that's just how much I really wanted to win, and I prepared so hard and I put in my best. And Andal, it's been a while since we had you here. And we can see that you gained some healthy weight. Have you been taking care of yourself? Yeah, I have recovered and I am quite healthy now. Yeah, I think I should be able to show you my healthy self from now on. And Leaper, how did you feel about the bot synergy? I personally don't believe that it's as good as other teams' bot synergy. It's because a lot of other teams, they seem to communicate a lot between each other. But I tend to not talk too much in game. And I feel like just trying to catch up with the play, it kind of hinders me from communicating with Andal, but I tried. I'm definitely working on it right now. And in game 1, Andal, you guys were hiding the support pick until the very end, and once the opponent picked Senna Tam Kench, you locked in Seraphine. So what strength were you looking at here? So Senna has really good value, and she's also very good at sustaining in the laning phase. And since we believe that AP support Seraphine would be really... AD carry Seraphine is actually really good in the laning phase. And that's probably why we ended up picking her against Senna. And yeah, you guys... The opponent took Seraphine away, and you guys revealed a surprise Blitz take. So who was a strong advocate for this? Yeah, our coach was actually the one who really wanted us to play Blitz. And yeah, we had some practice with Blitz, but I feel like we didn't really execute it too well. Leaper. So game 2 wasn't actually going so well for Kwangdong for the most part, but at what point were you sure of victory? After we cut off the Talia ult, I think Renekton was actually overextended with his E, and I was able to catch him out. I think that's probably the point where we were sure that we won. Let's take a look at the replay. Can you walk us through this? Yeah. So Talia actually stopped my ult, but the Blitz was able to roam and flank a lot. And the way that we picked out the Talia, and then how we were able to follow up into CCing the Renekton, I think my main focus was to cut off the Renekton here, and it went really well. Yeah, what an amazing team fight from you guys. And Andal, after today's victory, you will be facing OK Savings Bank Brion for the upcoming Saturday showdown. What is your resolution? I don't think I performed very well against Brion last spring, so I want to make sure that we can secure the victory next time we see them. And Leaper, with the successful debut stage, what can we expect from you in the LCK? I feel like when I was a streamer, I lacked in that mental fortitude, but I believe that I grew a lot from my professional career so far. And I want to be a player, someone that I can be proud of.
네, 마지막으로 혹시 카메라 보면서 보여주실 수 있나요? 네, 한번 보여주면서 팬분들께 한마디 부탁드리겠습니다. 리퍼 선수 그럼
Your
시그니처
ceremony.
포즈 보여주시죠.
Your signature pose, please.
네, 여러분 리퍼 선수 앞으로 데뷔전 치렀기 때문에 많은 응원 부탁드립니다. 마지막으로 팬분들께 한마디
Please give it
부탁드릴게요.
up for Leaper, and please share your goals and resolution for the fans.
많은 관심과
Leaper.
사랑을 보내주셔서 감사하고요. 그거에 대해 보답할
Thank you
수
so
있게
much
열심히
for all the
하겠습니다.
support that you've been
네,
sending me.
승리
I hope that I
축하드립니다.
can
오늘
repay you
2대0으로
guys
승리한 광동
with
프릭스였습니다.
great
축하드립니다.
performances in the future. And that's the end of the interview with Angel and Leaper of Kwangdong Freaks. And back to the space. Thank you.